There is a dramatically awful mistranslation in the King James Version, and that's recognized by all standard dictionaries and so on. That mistranslation is to render the word Hades, or Sheol in Hebrew, as hell, along with Gehenna, or the lake of fire, equally as hell. It doesn't get any worse than that. You must be aware that your Bibles have been mistranslated in certain key verses. So let's explain this very easy point. There's a Greek word, Hades, Avis in modern Greek pronunciation, which we use and which they now do at Harvard too. And it's the equivalent of the Hebrew word Sheol. That's the word which describes the place where all the dead go when they die, good and evil alike. In Hades, it says, there's no knowledge of God. There's nothing, no activity going on in Hades or Sheol where you're all going. However, this is quite different from the other word mistranslated to confuse the two issues, but should be translated as Gehenna fire. That's hell fire. And that's where the incorrigibly wicked will go. If finally a person, after fair chance at the truth, decides against it, then they are doomed to destruction. Gehenna is destructive fire. Fire consumes. It doesn't torture forever. So let's be absolutely clear about that. Avis, in Hebrew, Sheol, is where all the dead go, and they're unconscious, sleeping the sleep of death. Daniel 12, verse 2. Critically important verse, Daniel 12, verse 2. Jesus said, I'm going to go and call people out of their tombs, not call them back from heaven. Nobody's gone to heaven except Jesus. The reward of the faithful is never, ever, ever to go to heaven the moment you die. That's the intrusion of a very false idea of the immortal soul. The Bible doesn't say that we have immortality by nature. We have to gain it only through faith in the message, gospel of the kingdom, and in his death and resurrection. That's how you gain it. Don't have it. So when we die, we fall asleep in death, waiting the first resurrection. 1 Corinthians 15:23. Paul spells it out. Jesus was the first to be raised from the dead. Then those who belong to Jesus, including Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and all the prophets who understood the gospel ahead of time, they will be raised at Jesus' parousia. I'm using that Greek word deliberately. The word rapture has become horribly confused. I would drop the word rapture and use the noun parousia, means the second coming, in our case, the arrival of Jesus as the emperor and king of that future kingdom. If you don't understand these totally fundamental events in the story, you're not going to understand the story. Only one of those. Never ever a double parousia. Never ever a secret parousia 7 years before the one and only parousia. With that in mind, you won't go wrong. With that not in mind, you're going to be very confused about the biblical story. We don't want that.